Hello. Welcome,
Hello.
everyone. Welcome, everyone. This is Beauty Superstars Talk, and this is your backstage pass to experts in beauty. And my name is Mickey Wright, and I'm the founder of the Beauty Superstars Online Academy. And I'm your host for today. So I want to thank you for being here and also invite you to subscribe if you're on YouTube and ring the bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming guests and any of the amazing stories that they have to bring you. And we have a super exciting guest today. So let's just see if I need to adjust anything right here. And she has actually conquered. We're seeing her hand there.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I would say conquered the world of editorial and sessions hairstyling, and her career has taken her all around the world, as well as backstage at the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, as well as Philadelphia Fashion Week. And I'd say she's a little bit of rock and roll and always committed to diversity and inclusion in the beauty industry. And her name is Miss Kia Sterling. So I want to welcome you.
Thank you, Mickey.
Yeah, it's like I wanted to share. It's like earlier you asked me about, how do Beauty Superstars Talk get started? And I just wanted to share a little bit for anyone who may be joining us for the first time or anyone who may be wondering the same thing. And so it basically was born out of the racial unrest that came after the tragic murder of George Floyd. And as the tensions rose in the world, they also spilled over into the beauty industry. And it's still actually one of the most segregated industries in the world. And so during that time, I actually had the pleasure and honor to be on a couple of calls with a lot of Black artists in almost every part of the professional beauty industry. And some of the artists I knew and some of them I did not. And it was kind of a get to know each other type of Zoom call, if you will.
Yeah, I was on their call.
Yeah. Like there were so many people, and I left feeling extremely inspired by the stories that I heard. And many of the artists expressed, having really hurtful experiences, with racism within the industry. But none of the people who were there obviously had let that stop them from being amazing artists and excelling in their industry or in their part of the industry. And so I left the meetings feeling like these stories need to be told, have to be told, and not by someone else, but by the artists themselves. And I wanted to, extend my platform to be able to host that. And it's here, Beauty Superstars. I think this is our 11th episode. So I'm excited about the guests that I've had in the past because I've had some amazing people. And the lineup, it just keeps coming. So it's like I'm super excited about the folks that are to come. And it's really designed to create a safe space for Black artists in the beauty industry to be able to tell their stories. And in the meantime, take us all backstage with them and share their secrets of success. So it's with great pleasure that I welcome tonight's guest, which is Miss Kia Sterling. So welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Mickey. I think you are amazing. This platform is so necessary and needed. So I'm so proud of you. You're making a difference.
Thank you. That is my aim and my hope and my intention. So it's like I do want to help to enhance. And it's like the beauty industry is in my blood, and it's like it's near and dear to my heart. And it's like I want to see it excel and be all that it can be. And I also don't want these stories of all of this amazing work that is going on in the world to go undocumented. I think this is actually a part of healing, a part of our inspiration and education. It's like when we can see people who are doing amazing things, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like I might be able to do that, And so that's exactly why I'm doing this. And hello to everybody who's joining us. If you want, you can put your name and where you're coming in from in the chat, wherever you happen to be on. We're on YouTube and in our Beauty Superstars group. We have a private group that everybody in there likes to tune in.
Hi, everyone.
On comments. And also we're on a Beauty Superstars page, which is really my Salon Biz Coach page on Facebook as well. So let's see. I like to start with your bio and just share a little bit about you before we jump right in. So I'm going to read through this. Kia Sterling is a world-renowned celebrity and editorial artist based in New York City, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles. With over 25 years experience in the beauty and fashion industry, she travels the world educating on the latest trends in runway and editorial hair, creative wig making and design, and luxury extension techniques. So anybody getting excited just about those few things, it's like, woo! So she's quickly become one of the most sought after hairstylists and educators worldwide, and a driving force in fashion and beauty, as you can see from her presence here.
Thank you.
I love your hair. You have to tell us about that. So give me a minute to ask you about that. And so her trend-setting style that she describes as rock and refined has been featured in major publications such as Cosmopolitan, Zink, Allure, Vogue Italia, and countless others, as well as television and advertisements such as Maybelline, Avalon, and the Tony Awards. Season after season, Kia leads hair for major runway shows such as Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, which is in New York City, and Philadelphia Fashion Week. Kia was handpicked by multi-NAHA winner Charlie Price of Bravo's hit show Sheer Genius to join forces and be an artist on his acclaimed artistic team, The Beauty Underground. He is also a platform artist and educator for Indeed Hair, the top luxury extension hair brands in the industry, and Kia is represented by the Gleam Project. As a fashion and beauty expert, Kia has been invited to be a guest editor and featured artist in many publications where her views, tips, and expertise are often quoted. Kia has extensive salon experience from boutique to high fashion. Her experience extends from precision cutting, custom coloring, flawless extension work, wig making and design, luxury hair care, couture styling, and texture specialist and enthusiast. Kia believes in healthy hair first, and education is her key to her growth as a stylist, which she shares with her fabulous clients at Hair Tea Color and Design in Philadelphia. Kia believes she's living the best of both worlds as a session and salon hair artist. This affords her the opportunity to share her passion to the fullest in creating beauty for people of all walks of life who enjoy the Kia Sterling hair lifestyle. Kia believes that diversifying your artistry will keep your career exciting and fresh. She lives for her motto, which is evolve, inspire, create, and share, as she is a strong believer in giving back and embraces her philanthropy work. So we want to welcome you, Miss Amazing Artist.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, and I want to just like backtrack a little bit, because I mentioned just like some of the artists on the calls I knew and some I didn't. And you and I had the pleasure of meeting kind of by chance at a hair show in Vegas. I don't know if you remember or not, but
I do. It was actually in Long Beach.
In Long Beach. Okay.
Long Beach.
Yeah. And we were in the elevator together, I think. And
and I was like, oh my God, it's Mickey Wright. It's Mickey Wright. I remember very well.
Okay. And we were, it turned out, staying on the same floor and everything. So it was super great to meet you in person. And
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So first, before we jump into everything, tell us about your hair, because I can't tell exactly what's going on there, but it looks really cool.
Well, it's braided. It's a braided wig. I don't really want to take it all the way off because it's not quite finished at the top.
Okay, you don't have to.
I had to put a hat on so nobody would know but us. But it's a braided wig that I made, and I added beads to it. So these are like individuals, if you can see.
Oh my gosh.
So they're like these. This is the size of it. And me and my assistant put these beads on one by one. Well, we used that long strand thing. It still took a long time though. We beat it all the way through. But I love it. I love it.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And just shows your creativity and why you are where you are. So
thank you so much. I love it. Yeah. I love all kinds of fun things. Like, I don't take hair that seriously. Healthy hair, yes. But fashion hair, it's just supposed to be fun.
Right.
Let loose, explore. I can just take this. In fact, this morning when I was talking to you, I had a red afro. So
Okay.
I change my hair all the time.
Yeah. Well,
Hourly sometimes.
beauty
So
of it, right? The beauty of the beauty
it's
industry.
fun. Yeah,
So
it's
tell us
fun.
a little bit about like how you got started in hair. It's like, was it something that you just, came out of the womb and were ready to do something creative or what?
No, I really got introduced to beauty through my mom.
Hmm.
Um, I was raised in the 70s and I thought my mom was the end all, be all, most beautiful woman on the planet. She had the nice afro, she had the pretty nails, she wore the pretty makeup with the long lashes. She was giving me like Angela Davis vibes, but on a glamorous level.
Okay.
So I used to just sit on the edge of the bed every morning with her and just watch her do her hair and her makeup. And I was just mesmerized by it. I was like, oh my God. And then my auntie, who's her sister, she was the same way. Now, when I say this to them today, they both look at me like, I wasn't that glamorous. I'm like, you got to remember, I was 6 years old looking at you guys. You may think you weren't, but you were. And when I look at pictures of my
Right.
mom, she's like, you consider that glamour? I'm like, yeah, I do. But anyway. So, the women in my family were very glamorous, and I just found myself very attracted to beauty. And then my dad was huge in music. He loved music. I mean, I think he had like 10,000 albums or something. And, he used to play like Diana Ross and Donna Summers. This is when I was growing up. So those were my icons in my head. Like I thought Donna Summer was the end all, be all in my eyes. I just thought she was so glamorous, so beautiful. And I always loved her hair. She had this amazing, of course, I'm like 10 years old. I didn't know it was wig, but she had this amazing hair. And I just always would look at it and be like, wow. Now I'm a little girl, so I'm still walking around with like barrettes with like, well, this is when little girls used to wear ribbons. So I would wear my ribbons and I just wanted to be like that. So I used to take my turtleneck sweater, wrap it around my head and make my hair really, really long. And I would like sing in the mirror and perform like I was Donna Summer. You couldn't tell me I was swinging my hair like yes, So I was just always attracted to like music, beauty. Um, I used to be a dancer. I danced for Philadelphia, which is one of the top. Let me take that back. Philadelphia is the top school in the country, besides of course Alvin Ailey. But I
Wow.
studied there. I started dancing when I was 4. Danced all through elementary school, middle school, high school. Then I taught dance. So I have a dance background. And then my dad, who was an actor, like he taught drama at a studio here called Freedom Theater of Philadelphia. So I think I got a lot of my creativity from my dad's side. And I used to just kind of hang out with him a lot. We listened to music. And I think all of it kind of intertwines fashion,
Uh-huh.
beauty, music. It's all kind of under the same umbrella. And then my neighbor, I think I was telling you earlier, my neighbor, I was like 8 years old, and she used to braid everybody's hair. And I didn't know how to braid. So I used to just watch her. I used to sit on the steps and watch her braid. And she was like, I'm going to show you how to do it. So one day she showed me how to braid. Of course, it's something you need to practice to make perfect. But I started braiding my baby dolls. And I was like, so just like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is amazing. I need to like practice this more and really get good at it. And so I started braiding my baby dolls. And then I started middle school. When I started middle school, I was very into fashion. I was into fashion when I was really young. As a child, my mom started to let me dress myself. So how she would dress me was very different how I would do it. So I would put these outfits together like they didn't really match to her. And she was like, okay, if that's what you want to look like, okay, whatever. So I was fascinated by fashion and beauty. And then now I'm in middle school. So now I'm old enough to like do my own hair.
Mm.
That's where it got crazy. Because I remember I had a hairstylist in middle school. And when I was in ninth grade, I had in my head that I was a hairstylist. Like, I had this in my head. So I decided to put a relaxer in my hair. And I put a relaxer in my hair, over processed it terribly. Hair was falling out. I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. My mom was like, what did you do? Like, you should have just gone to the hairdresser. And I'm like, well, Mom, I think I know. I don't know, but I'm thinking I know what I'm doing. So I'm like, all my hair is coming out. So I finally went to my hairdresser. He told me he had to cut all my hair off. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'm going to high school. I had a boyfriend and I was going on his prom. I'm like, I can't be a freshman going on a senior prom, bald headed. Like, this is insane. Like, so he cut my hair in the very beginning of my freshman year. By the spring, hair grows back, but I don't know this because I'm 14 and I'm thinking my hair is never going to grow back. It grew back beautifully. It was amazing. By the spring of that year, when I went on my boyfriend's prom, my hair looked awesome. So I was like, wow, that really piqued my interest. I feel like that 8 months really piqued my interest. And at that time, I used to go to a salon in Philly. What was the name of it? Savant. That was the name of it. It was on Spruce Street. It was on like a swanky neighborhood in Center City, Philadelphia. And it was like all the cool people went there. And that's where I got my hair done. And my hairdresser was a gay Spanish guy who was, I was maybe 16 at this time. He was probably 40. So to a 16-year-old, a 40-year-old is old. And I just didn't think he was cool. He did my mom's hair, my aunt's hair, my whole family's hair. But he had a younger girl that worked there named Janet. And Janet is probably watching this. I want to cry in a minute. But he had a young girl working there named Janet. She was in her 20s. She might have been about 24. And I wanted all my hair cut off because I was about to go to college. And I wanted to have that Anita Baker look. This was in 1987. So I'm like, I want Janet to cut my hair. So he was like, well, go on over there with Janet then. So I'm like, okay. Janet inspired me so much to become a hairstylist. So she is probably my first connection to hair. And when she would do my hair, we would talk about it. And I would stalk her in the salon and stalk the assistants and stalk all the stylists on what they were doing and how they were doing it. And she was fly and she was sexy. I just was like, I want to be like Janet when I grow up. So Janet was really my inspiration in the beginning to go to cosmetology school. But, I'm 16, 17. I'm like, my family, I come from a family where you go to college, period. Everybody went to college in my family. All my cousins have degrees. So I'm thinking, okay, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. So graduated from high school, of course, went to college. And then all I wanted to do in college was do hair. That's all I thought about. It's like, I'm doing hair. I'm over here failing my chemistry class because I'm worrying about trying to do hair. I have no interest in being here. But I had fun. I had a ball. I had so much fun in college. It's not even funny. But anyway, so, I spent I finished 2 years. And after my second year, I was going into my junior year. And I came home and I told my parents, I said, listen, I really need to talk to you. We got to have a sit down. And they were like, sure. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm so scared. What am I going to do? They're going to kill me. I'm like, I really don't want to go back to college. So my dad was like, okay, what do you want to do? And he said it just like that. And I'm like, I want to be a hairstylist. And he was like, okay, cool. My mom was like, sounds good. My dad said, go find a cosmetology school and I'll pay for it. And I was like, that's it? I went through all of this, blood, sweat, and tears, thinking y'all were going to kill me because I didn't want to go to college and I didn't want 99 degrees like everybody else has in my family. My cousins are doctors, lawyers, pharmacists, engineers. Like, I'm like, that is so not me at all. Like, at all.
Right.
I'm like, okay, cool. But it was just so interesting how that's why I always tell people, like, we really had to express ourselves because you never know the outcome.
Right.
And for at least 3 years, I knew I wanted to be a hairstylist, but I was so fearful. And it was like, I remember it was I think it was 85. I was watching the Academy Awards. Don't quote me on this year because I might be wrong, but it was somewhere in the 80s. And I was watching the Academy Awards. And Debbie Allen, who was like everything in my head, she choreographed the Academy Awards that year. And because I had a dance background, at the same time, I wanted to be a dancer. It was like dancer, hairdresser, dancer, hairdresser. And I was watching it with my dad, and I said, I want to do what she does. And he told me, he said, because he was an actor too, and he said that, it's a very difficult industry to get in. And I remember him saying that. We never really talked about it too much after that, but I just kind of remember him saying that, but he didn't say it about hair. So I think that's why I kind of went towards hair more so than dance. But they both were my passion. Like even to this day, dance is my passion. So so my dad said go find a cosmetology school, pay for it. Um, Found a school, studied. I was right where I needed to be. I was so happy. I wanted to study. I got straight A's on my test. Like I knew I was where I needed to be. This is where I was supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to be in college. I was on academic probation all the time. Whole time I was at school. Like too busy partying and doing hair. um, so then, I started cosmetology school, and when I graduated, I took my state board, passed my test the first time. Thank
Yay.
God, because I was so stressed. I'll never forget that. I was so stressed out. But passed my boards the first time. And then I assisted in the salon. I met a young lady who came to our school for a job fair, and she was looking for an assistant. And we connected. So she took me on board. I was her assistant. I learned a lot in that salon. The salon, it was a very diverse salon too. But it was my first salon. That was the first time I saw Jewish women getting relaxers. So now this was 1991, I think, 91, right? I saw Jewish women getting relaxers, and I was blown away by that. I was like, oh my God, like Jewish women actually have hair like ours. This is interesting. So that was an awesome experience. And then I worked through some other salons in Philly. But flashback to when I was in high school, I used to cut out the pictures in like Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Elle magazine. I would cut out all the pictures that I was really attracted to and plaster them all on my walls in my room. So when you walked into my bedroom, all you saw was like fashion, hair. It got all the way up onto my ceiling. So now we're going to move forward. So I always had an attraction to that, but I didn't know what to do with it. I just knew I thought it was pretty. And somehow I would like to be a part of it, but I didn't know how to be a part of it. So let's fast forward to um, 10 years ago. So I skipped some years in there, but I worked in a lot of different salons, had cool experiences, but things started to change for me 10 years ago. I started working at a salon in Philly, and the owner of the salon suggested that me and one of the other stylists do a photo shoot, like for the salon. We were new stylists there, so we had just been there maybe 2 months. And she said, I want to set up a photo shoot for you guys. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm excited. Now, I had only done one photo shoot prior. That was maybe 6 years prior. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm excited about this photo shoot. So in my head, I kind of never really did a photo shoot. It's like my first photo shoot. Didn't really know what to do, but I thought about it. Like, I don't know, who should I use as a model? And one of my clients at that time was a professional model. Well, she still is a professional model. And she had just moved to New York. And her best friend, whose hair I also did, I was having a conversation with her one day, and I said, I need a model for this photo shoot. And she said, oh my God, hit up Ashley. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot Ashley moved to New York. Ashley would be perfect. So Ashley came back to Philly to do this photo shoot with me. And it's so interesting because I think sometimes we as artists, we don't know our power. And sometimes we're faced with fears because we feel like we're not worthy or we can't really do this. And then this is why it's so important to keep the right circle around you. You want people who are going to clap for you no matter what, people who are going to cheer you on. And I remember choosing my model and did the photo shoot. Funny thing about it was the photographer that was chosen, happened to have worked with the model prior, so they already had a relationship. But
Okay.
I remember doing that shoot and how nervous I was because everybody in the salon had already been published,
Mhm.
had like some of them had magazine covers, some had been published. So I'm like the new kid on the block. I don't have any of this type of work. I'm working my way towards that. And I could tell by the set that day that they were blown away by the hair that I did. I wish I had found that hair too, but I had to find it so I can show it to you. But they were blown away by the hair that I did and how well my model performed. And like she chose a model. I didn't choose my cousin. I didn't choose my girlfriend because she's cute. I knew, and I'm not even shoot experienced. I knew that I couldn't choose just some cute girl, that I
Mhm.
needed a professional model. So my model murdered the shoot and I murdered the hair.
Good combination.
And yes, combination. It was a bloody murder scene. And, I was so proud of myself. And I remember the energy, like at the salon, being like, oh my God, I can't believe she did that. Because I wasn't supposed to be where they are. When you feel that.
Hmm.
Come on now, we all know.
Right.
So, I'm like, okay, so this is something that's when I realized, like, this is something I really want to pursue because it was fascinating to me. So, I started doing a lot of research. Use Google, people. Use Google.
Talk to us.
Use Google. I'm trying to tell you. But I gotta go back a few years because I have a cousin who suggested to me I was not on social media. This was before Instagram. This is when only Facebook was out. And she
Okay.
kept telling me, get on Facebook, get on Facebook. And I'm like, for what? Like, I don't have a reason to get on. She's like, you have a business. You need to be on Facebook. And I'm like, I don't know what year this was, but this was like maybe, what year did Facebook come out? It was around that time, whatever year that was.
2009, I think, something like
2009, right? It was around that time.
that. Yeah.
So I kept like battling it out with her. Like, I don't need Facebook. That's crazy. Only like, I'm thinking people stalk people on social media. I didn't know because I wasn't on there, so I didn't know. But this salon I was working at, in order to work there, you had to have a Facebook
Hmm.
because the owner did a lot of promoting on Facebook. She needed to tag you. It was just a lot of stuff that she did on social media. So I'm like, so I was forced to get Facebook. That was the only reason why I got a Facebook. Thank God I got a Facebook. So I started really utilizing Google, doing research, figuring out like how do you build a portfolio? You
Hmm.
know, how do you build a team? I want to build a portfolio, but I don't know how to build a team. I don't know what to look for. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. So I gathered a lot of information off of Google, started following some really amazing photographers and makeup artists on Facebook. And I knew a couple of dope photographers here in Philly. And I just started doing some testing with them. And, we had experiences where all of the experiences were really positive in the very beginning. I worked with some awesome photographers, and I feel like I'm so new at this, but they were kind of looking at me like I was seasoned, and I'm like, this is only like my third photo shoot. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I picked up really quickly, and I just kind of knew what needed to happen. I don't know if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like, that was an area that just spoke to me, like
Right.
session work. Just I knew exactly what I wanted to see. I knew what the photographer should be seeing. I kind of easily figured it out. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I studied fashion for so long,
Hmm.
since high school, since probably ninth or 10th grade. I just studied fashion magazines. So, building my portfolio in Philly was really cool. And then I knew one day I was like, you know what? I need to start doing some work in New York. And that's when things started changing.
Hmm.
Um, I met with Stephanie Matthews on Twitter, who's one of my mentors, who I'm actually shooting with this weekend. She's like a real big photographer. She's fabulous. And I reached out to her, and I was so afraid because I'm like, oh my God, she's like this bomb photographer, and I'm just little old Kia. And I showed her my work, and she was like, I have a test I'm doing in New York in next month. I'm coming because she's in Ohio. She's like,
Mhm.
I'm coming to Philly. I'm sorry, I'm coming to New York, and I want to bring you on. It's 14 models. Can you do it? I'm like, yes. 14 models. I was like, 14 models. I didn't even hesitate. I was like, yes. I'm like, how am I going to do 14 models? Like, what is going on with me? But I was like, I'm not going to say no because I
Right.
needed to connect with her. Like, I needed to connect with her. So I brought an assistant and we knocked it out. And I did some beautiful work. And so things just started like rolling from that point on. I just started like just connecting with photographers, connecting with makeup artists, with fashion stylists, building my portfolio. Then I started photographers I was working with started submitting for publishing.
Mm.
So then I started. I've been published. I don't even know. It's hundreds of times, hundreds. Like I lost count. But and I'm just so grateful for the experience and people really believing in me
Right.
because I believed in myself, but I always had a doubt. You know how you believe in yourself, but then it's always just like, girl, you can't do that. Who you think you are? That
Right.
type of thing.
That voice.
Their voice, right. And then I'm like, oh, girl, you go back over here because I know I can do this. So and then the salon I was working with, which was an awesome salon, but I didn't really get a lot of support there
Mm.
because at the time I'm still a baby in it. So I
Mm.
got laughed at, I got teased, like what is she doing? She's always in New York. She's always and I'm like, I have a goal and I'm focused. Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
focused. I have a goal. I don't even see any
Mm.
of you. I don't see it because that's how you get sidetracked and you start believing what other people say. And then that's the way we easily doubt ourselves because we start hearing these voices because people say, oh, well, you can't do that because you work in the salon. And I'm like, yeah, but it's tons of hairstylists that work in the salon and also do set work. They also do television. They also do film. They also do ad cam. Like, what are you talking about? It's very, very possible to do both. And I
Mhm.
proved that it was possible. So yeah, that's pretty much how it got started.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, that is so exciting to hear. It's like I hope everybody else is like as tuned in as I am. It's like I like was taking notes. So if you saw me looking down, it's like that's what I was doing. It's like just capturing little bits. But it's like you really spoke to following your path. Especially
Hmm.
with talking to your parents and knowing what's in your heart. So, is there
Yeah.
anything that you could suggest for anyone else who may be kind of like on the fence? Like I think I can do this. I want to pursue it, but I'm a little, that.
Definitely. The first thing is you really have to believe in yourself. That's for starters. You just have to start to manifest it, speak it as if it is. Like you have to just see it. You have to. I know it sounds so corny, but you gotta see it. Like I know, and to me, sometimes it sounds so corny when I say stuff. I'm like, that sounds so corny, but it's real. Like you have to
Right.
see it, and I saw it. Like everything I was doing, I actually saw it. So you had to see it, and you had to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
You had to work hard. You had to make connections. You had to perfect your craft,
Mm-hmm.
practice. I have mannequins all over my apartment. I'm always
Hmm.
pulling something out like, oh, let me see if I can duplicate this. Let me see if I can practice this. This is an area I need to strengthen. Let me practice this area. A lot of stylists, sometimes, especially stylists who've been in the industry as long as me, we get really, really comfortable and
Hmm.
we feel like, oh my God, I can't learn anything from anyone. I've been doing hair. I've been a hairstylist for 29 years. It'll be
Wow.
30 years next year. I've had a license. I can learn. I've learned from my assistant.
Right. Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm a
Absolutely.
sponge.
Hmm.
I want to know everything and everything and everything. Like I'm a sponge. I'm very observant, and we have to get off our own high horses saying that we know everything and be willing to learn from everybody. You
Right.
know,
Hmm.
um, and do your research. Do your research. Learn how to pack a proper kit. Make sure your kit is immaculate, clean, flat irons.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure your tools are clean. The reason why I'll get into that when we start talking about Fashion Week, but making sure that your kit is really clean. Even like if you want to work with celebrities, I remember years ago when I first started working with celebrities, one of my makeup artist friends said to me, "You got to step your kit up." And I said, "Well, what's wrong with my kit?" And he's like, "You need to get this, you need to get that, you need to get a Mason Pearson brush that's like $250. You need to get the top of the line because that's what celebrities expect." So
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna work with a higher end, group of women and men, then everything about you has to speak that, including your kit. So I'll never forget him saying that. He was a makeup artist too. He was a makeup artist I worked with, and he mentioned that to me, and I was like, I ran out right the next day and stepped my kit up just like that. I was like, okay, and did research on that too. We just have to do the homework. We don't. Everything is not always working doing hair.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's actually doing the research prior to doing hair. And a lot of people don't want to do the homework. They just don't. I mean, I
Right.
would be up all night long researching. We have to go into the salon the next day. Then we'll have a photo shoot that night because I was test shooting crazy in like 2011 and 12. I was just going like bonkers, just testing, testing, testing because I needed to see my work
Mm-hmm.
on
So,
camera.
so tell us, like, what is a test shoot?
Well,
Walk us through.
a test shoot basically is when you create a team, a photographer, hairstylist, of course, would be me, or whoever's watching, makeup artist, and fashion stylist, and model.
Mm-hmm.
And you could also work with a designer, but that would be more of the stylist. Um, and you come together with some of the same creative ideas and you create a shoot based around it. So this shoot is not necessarily for anything specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so you guys can kind of play around and see, where you guys are creatively, and then maybe you can use these images for your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, if they're really great images, the photographer will submit them to publications.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that I encourage people. And I literally used to test shoot in 2011 and 12, probably 3 days a week.
3 days a week. Wow. Yeah.
Because I needed to get it together quick
You're gonna get better with anything that you do with
all the
that.
time. And I knew that the more anything you do, the more you do it, you get better. And I knew doing it once a month at that time, at my age, I'll
Mm-hmm.
be 51 next month. I didn't have a lot of
Wow.
time to wait.
Well,
So
you look
at that
amazing.
time, thank you. But at that time, I was probably like 40, I don't know, two maybe. But I was like, okay, I need to kind of rush this along so I don't have time to. And it was so cool because a lot of the photographers I was working with at the time, they were down to shoot. And I was like, I leave the salon at 7 o'clock. Can we shoot at 8 o'clock? You know what I mean? Like we just shot at night, just worked it out.
So with the
Yeah.
photographers and makeup artists, like the stylists, the fashion stylists, are they more in the novice category where they're trying to build their books, or are
Yes.
they
Yes.
okay?
So
So
everybody's
everybody's
pretty
kind of on
much on the
the same.
same page. Yeah.
Okay.
You always
Okay.
want to try to find people that are kind of on the same page as you
Mm-hmm.
because the expectation is like on an even playing field. I feel,
Mm-hmm.
if you're working with like some top makeup artists of the world and then
Mm-hmm.
you're just like entering the industry, I mean, it can happen, but
Right.
they may not want to work with you. And that's
Right.
when Model Mayhem was popular back, oh my God, 10 years ago.
Okay.
Model Mayhem was popular. So we used to find models on Model Mayhem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like, so you've got the models, you've got the makeup, you've got all these test shots. So how did all of that kind of translate into getting into Fashion Week?
So the way I actually started Fashion Week was I asked Stephanie, in fact,
Okay.
who
Uh-huh.
Stephanie Matthews,
So
who's one of my mentors, because she knows a lot of people.
yeah, so go
And
back to that. Pause if you can. Don't forget where you are, but I just want to have you emphasize the importance of like building your network and your
mhm.
team, because you said that you sought her out, on Twitter, I think you said.
Yep, it was on Twitter.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so tell us about like how should we be utilizing social media to enhance our career.
Yeah, definitely. I was anti-social media, and now I'm team social media. Like I live on it. Um, she was like my first, well, not my first, but Stephanie was like one of my first connections that I looked at as like a real photographer. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I built a relationship with her. We've been really good friends over the years. I'm actually shooting with her this weekend. I got
Mhm.
to get some creativity out, but it's so important to build relationships. But I think sometimes as artists, we feel like, I don't know, this is just my experience talking to other people. Um, I think sometimes we think we're too good to reach out,
Mhm.
or well, why should I reach out to her? She should be reaching out to me. And
Mhm.
I'm like, well, if you have that attitude, you're never going to get anywhere. Like sometimes you have to put yourself in the person's face. They don't know you, they don't see you. So you have to make that initial contact. And I've DM'd people and they said no to me. And I was like, okay, they'll say yes in 6 months. I'll ask them again in 6 months. Like, I'm
Right.
just not going to go for no. Okay, you said no today. Maybe you had a bad day. Or maybe I didn't show you the right work. You
Right.
know, but a mentor is so important. I think a life mentor is important, not just your
Mm-hmm.
career. I think
Right.
everybody should have a mentor in their career, but I also think you should just have a mentor in life. You know, like sort of like a life coach.
Yes.
Maybe somebody you pay and maybe somebody you don't pay. It just depends
Uh-huh.
on. But mentorship is so important, and building relationships. Everybody I've worked with over the last 10 years, I can just pick up the phone and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
know, and keeping that connection going and learning, you know, listening to them because they've experienced things that maybe you haven't experienced, or maybe they know someone who has
Right.
experienced something that you haven't experienced. I like hearing other people's stories because it also helps me kind of define my story. Like, well, if he could do this or she can do that, then I know I can too. It's
Mhm.
possible, you
Right.
know. So I have several mentors though. I don't just have one, but I have several
Mhm.
mentors. But she was like maybe my first in this industry that
Okay.
I would consider a real mentor.
Yeah.
Um, and she connected me. I asked her about Fashion Week. She connected me to, oh, Brian is watching. Brian. Anyway, she connected me to Brian Hawkins, who's a good friend of mine. And Brian, we knew each other for Twitter. Now this was in 2011 when Twitter was real big. And me and Brian knew each other from Twitter. And Brian um, direct messaged me on Twitter and said, "Hey, I'm leading some shows in New York. I want to bring you on." And I was like, "Oh, are you serious? Oh my god! Like this didn't just happen. Like this is what I wanted." So then, long story short, Brian's I think his dad died,
Mm.
and he was not able to fly into New York, of
Uh,
course, because his dad died. So he recommended me to another lead who was
mhm.
looking for artists for their show. And so that's how I got connected into Fashion Week. So if it wasn't for Brian and Stephanie, I wouldn't have been in Fashion Week.
Okay. Okay. So again, the relationships and the connections, the networking
Hmm.
is really
Hmm.
part of the key.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it sounds like you also kind of extend that hand backwards and pay it, I guess you could say pay it forward with bringing other artists in.
Definitely. You have to pay it forward. It's a must.
Yeah.
Because somebody, I hear people on social media say, I'm self made. I did this myself. No one's helped me. And I'm like, no one is self made. Nobody.
Right.
Somebody opened that door.
Right.
How'd you get in? You didn't get in by yourself. I mean, think about it. Somebody made a connection for you, but we don't think like that. See, I think about stuff like that.
Hmm.
Somebody opened that door, and now it's my turn to open the door and bring somebody in with me. It's just how it goes.
Right.
It's paying it forward.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
everybody did that, we would be like on point.
Yeah. And so far ahead.
So
Yeah.
much farther ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So walk us through. It's like I know everybody's kind of sitting here on the edge, like, when is she going to tell us what it's like to be, working
Ah!
working with Fashion Week, and how does that part, feel, look? It's like you have like what you imagine it to be. What was it like for you, like say your first time?
Fashion Week, my first time was super scary. I will say that. I need to say that first because I was so nervous. I didn't know what to expect at
Right.
all. Like I was just like, oh my God, what is going to happen? Am I dressed properly? Is my kit right? What do I pack? What do I do? What do I say? What do I, I was just a bundle of nerves, but I was so excited. My first fashion week was a really great experience. I will say overall, it was a great experience. There were a few little things that happened that made me go, but overall, I would say it was a great experience. The few little things that happened was I've done Fashion Week like, oh my God, since 2011 with so many shows, like so many leads, so many shows. I've led shows. Um, but I've experienced times where I walked in and I felt like they felt like I shouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it hasn't been said,
Mm-hmm.
but the energy, I really am a person that feels people's energy. And I know that there were times where, well, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you here? Because I work on a lot of all white teams
Mm-hmm.
where I might be the only black girl and it might be two or three other. So we might have a team of 25 people, 3 people black, 2 people black, maybe one person black.
Mm-hmm.
But what the first thing that was the first thing I noticed is all these teams are white. Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Why? And I remember when you interviewed Ted, him saying that he knew in order, and I think about this for the music industry as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you have an artist, a musical artist, and Whitney Houston is a perfect example, they needed to cross her over,
Mm-hmm.
quote,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Right.
the white people would love her, not just the black community. She needed to cross over. So I remember Ted saying that in his interview, and I remember I felt like that 10 years ago when I first started out in this whole editorial fashion runway world. And I was like, well, I don't want to be labeled as a black hairstylist. I just want to be a hairstylist
Mm-hmm.
that happens to be black.
Right.
But I do all hair types. I do all hair textures, which means I can do the white girl, the Asian girl, the Spanish girl, black girl. I can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him saying that. So I'm going back a little bit. So at the very beginning, when I first started building my portfolio, I noticed I didn't notice it at the time, but one day I looked at my book and it was all white.
Mm-hmm.
My
Okay.
portfolio was all white. There was not one black girl in my portfolio. And I was like, wait, what are you doing here? What's going on? So I'm wondering if I was subconsciously not shooting with black models because
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that black models aren't accepted, which means I won't get accepted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That
Another artist who shared, like, she specifically did not choose black models because she knew that the work that she wanted to present
right,
wouldn't be accepted. And she was, reflecting how bad she felt for not
right.
selecting some of these amazing black
But the
models.
funny thing is
But
that
it
I
definitely
didn't
does make sense.
right, but the funny thing is that at that time I didn't really do the model selection. It was more the
Mhm.
photographer.
Right, right.
So I'm wondering like I noticed it. Of course I noticed it, but was I subconsciously feeling that way?
Hmm.
Like, well, I don't want to shoot with a black model because if I shoot with a black model, I won't be accepted.
Right.
Period.
Or they'll
Because
think I'm a
I need
stylist.
right. Because I need to cross over. I mean, there was a time where my portfolio was so white, and my Facebook image was always my work, never me.
Hmm.
Because I didn't want people to know I was black. I wanted them to hire me based on my skill set.
Right.
That's some real sad stuff right there that you got to go through all of this. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Like, I thought this through. Like, I remember this like 9 years ago. Like, my Facebook was like, no, it can't be me because I'm black.
Right.
And I
Right.
got big hair. They
Uh-huh.
might be like, oh no, she's too much.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
my profile picture was always white. And I remember a girl DM me one day, or what is it, message, whatever they call it on Facebook. She messaged me. She was black, but she didn't know I was black.
Uh-huh.
And she wanted me to do her hair. And she started describing her hair texture and I could tell based on her message that she really thought I was white. She loved my work. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, girl, I am black. Okay, I got you. She sent me a picture of her hair and everything. I was like, girl, I got you. You good. But why do we have to go through all of this? Like, it's crazy. And why
Yeah.
do we have to like make these fake white portfolios to satisfy the masses?
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair. Like
Yeah.
our industry is like one of the most segregated industries. And I didn't even like how I was moving. I didn't like that at all. Like I wanted a nice round diverse portfolio with
Mm-hmm.
everybody, including men, you know, a little bit of everybody in it because that is what I do. I
Right.
do everybody. I have male clients, I have white clients, I have Spanish clients. You
Right.
know, that's
Mm-hmm.
what I want to do. So why doesn't my portfolio reflect that? So so I had to deal with that like internally. Like I'm like, this is not a good thing. This is not really a good thing.
Yeah, well, fast forward us because I know when the George Floyd murder that your page turned from like the hair page to to the fight the power
Fight the power.
page.
Fight the power. Fight the That was crazy. I looked at my page one day and I was like, oh my God. Like you would have to scroll to look for hair. That's so crazy. Mm.
So tell us like what was going on for you, and why did you feel that it was important? Because I think that's one of the key things is that, the way you were feeling, you felt needed a voice and needed to be visually there for a purpose. So I just wondered what your thoughts were, or if
Yeah,
it was really
I
raw
think
emotion coming out.
watching the brutal murder of George Floyd just really took me out. I was traumatized
Hmm.
for days. I was so like I think I cried for like 2 weeks straight. I just kept finding myself like and we were still in quarantine at that time, so we
Yes.
weren't like out and about. And I was just bust out crying and just I became so emotional. I was talking to my mom every day, like, oh, can you stop crying? Like it was horrific. And then when I started watching social media and people were talking about, the racism in the country and then the racism in the beauty industry that we never really talk about, I was like, oh my God, this is so accurate. Like, this is some real stuff. Like,
Mhm.
so unfortunately, poor Mr. Floyd had to lose his life for us to really be awakened. This was like an awakening for the country,
Mhm.
for all black people, white people, everybody, brown people, for all of us. But black people always feel like we're not heard, and like no one does. They don't hear us. Like I've experienced being with white people where I tried to explain something to them, and they're like, "That's I don't get it." No, and I'm like, "What's gonna make you get it?" George Floyd made them get it. Like that whole, I mean, my DMs were going crazy. I was posting everything, everything that was going on. I was posting, reposting, and my white friends were literally DMing me like, I had no idea that this is what was going on. I had no idea. Because when I would mention things to them, they would be like, oh no, girl, you're just seeing more into it than it is. Like, no, I'm not.
Right.
This is really what's going on. Like,
Mhm.
we are different.
Right.
You
Right.
know, people like to say the human race. That's all cute because we all are human, but it's not realistic
Mhm.
because some people look at when they see me, they see a black woman. They don't see a woman.
Right.
They see a black woman and they're like, oh my God, is she going to steal something when she walks in the store? Oh my
Mhm.
God, she actually has money. You know what I mean? Like, this is
Right.
real.
Mhm.
It happens. And I know white people that have done it to
Mhm.
me.
Right. Mhm.
Because I'm black, I'm just not supposed to have anything. But because they're privileged, this is the mindset of someone that is privileged. Like, how dare she have more than me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, I was yeah, and I'm still like,
Mm-hmm.
but I went off. I went like off. I was I had to like I'm a lot calmer than I was like middle May.
Right. Right.
A lot calmer.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot. It was a lot to take in, and then it was a lot to actually um see. It's like we see it, we feel it, is what my experience is. And one of the things that came about in some of those conversations, those Zooms that we were having with a lot of Black artists, is for me anyway, how little I've talked about anything with anybody else. And it seemed like a lot of people were saying the same thing. And for me, it's just like, okay, well, that didn't work out, brush it off, keep it moving, do the next thing.
Hmm.
But you don't deal with, one, bringing it to the attention of the person who may be,
Because we've been taught not to talk about it. Like we've
hmm
been taught to it's just embedded in our psyches to
hmm
accept these things. And I'm guilty of it. I've accepted things, should have said things, didn't say things because I'm just kind of like, oh, I guess that's just how it is.
hmm
Because
hmm
it's always been like this. Like
right.
I am 51 in 2 weeks. I think my birthday is. It's always been like this my
Mhm.
entire life. Like I remember being 8 years old in day camp, and I went to a predominantly white day camp. It was probably three other black kids there besides me. And I went swimming for the first time with my friends and all my white girlfriends. And I had like ponytails, got out the water. You sit on the side of the pool, hair's in this big afro. I don't know. I'm 8 years old. My hair swelled up. You know how our hair does. And they were looking at me like, oh my God, Kia, what is going on with your hair? And I'm like, what?
Oh my
What
God.
happened? Is something wrong? I was like, what is, and I'm walking around hair all over. You know how little girls look. And I'm
hmm
like, oh my God. It was humiliating. I will never forget that. Never. I begged my parents for a relaxer. Mom, please. My mom was like, no, you're too young. I'm like, I have to. I have to have a relaxer. I have to. I hate my hair. I have to. When I was 10, I got my first relaxer. I go to camp that summer. So now it's relaxed and straight and silky. So I think I'm part of the white girl club now. I get in the pool, I get out the pool, I'm swinging my hair like, yes. Couldn't tell me nothing. But little did I know my hair was beautiful, but
Right.
they made me think it wasn't.
Right.
They made me think having a relaxer was cool, was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Right. Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
crazy, right?
And there's nothing wrong with relaxers, and there's nothing wrong with natural hair, but it's like
Nothing wrong.
we have all of these things that are part of our culture, that makes us say it's like, oh, well, I have to have this or I have to do that, which I think is
Yeah.
sad in and of itself.
Yeah, because
That
I'm a stylist. I do relaxers still. A lot of stylists don't do relaxers. I,
Mhm.
of course, do more natural hair, but I do
Right.
have relaxer clients, and I do not talk them out of relaxers. If that's what you want, then we'll do a relaxer. Most of them have short haircuts, but you
Mhm.
know, I'm like, if that's what you want, you should have. You will have what you want with Kia Sterling.
Okay. Right way to keep clients, right? Keep them happy, advise them how to keep their hair healthy.
Yes.
So take us back, like what tips and things, like you mentioned the kit, like I want to make sure we cover enough Fashion Week stuff,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah.
I do appreciate you sharing, your thoughts and feelings and experiences with, racism and with the industry and that type of thing, because I think it is important for us to acknowledge it, and to not just keep it as something that doesn't get discussed. And it
Yeah.
should, when we see things, I think now everybody's kind of in this mode, like, okay, we have to address this, as
Yeah.
we're going along.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
needs to be. So, it's funny. Because I worked in Fashion Week in New York so much, I've made a lot of connections, and sometimes artists are asking me, "Hey, do you have any friends that you can recommend?" And I'm
hmm
like, "Sure." And I've recommended friends to work on teams in Fashion Week. And I remember this one time, somebody who was like she was kind of like the assistant to the lead, like a co-lead, I would say.
Okay.
And she said, the person I sent, kit was filthy. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah, her kit was filthy, her flat irons were filthy. And I was just like, wow, like I probably should. I didn't think I needed to, but I think if you don't know, you don't know. But I feel like your kit should never be filthy because you do use your kit. You know, I have a couple of kits that I use, but your kit should always be immaculate because you're working on models or celebrities or whatever, and nobody wants you to work on them with dirty tools or dirty flat iron. So you need to be very aware of your kit. So the one tip I will give is make sure that you have an immaculate kit, that it's the actual kit itself, like the suitcase or what have you, that you carry your tools in, should be very clean and organized. There's so many different things online you can order, little like cases that you can put like your combs in, your brushes in, so everything is organized. Your hairpin case, you know, you want a variety of sizes of pins and colors because you may be doing a blonde model, so you need the lighter colored pins and long pins, short pins, bobby pins, U pins, ponytail holders. Like you want to make sure that you have everything, you know, combs, brushes, all kinds of different combs, brushes, flat irons, different size irons, you know, because you don't know what you may do. Now, sometimes you'll work on a show where they will specifically tell you what the look is, or they will tell you at least what to bring in the kit. So that way you're not traveling with your whole life. That's always more fun when they tell you everything to bring. But sometimes they don't. So you wind up having to bring a lot. So you just got to be prepared. But make sure it's spotless. It just needs to be spotless because when you open it, you're opening your kit in front of everyone. And you don't want to not have a together kit. To me, it's all part of your look, your kit. You know. Did you ask me how people can get into Fashion Week? Was that the question?
Yeah. And
okay.
what, you know, any more tips from behind the scenes?
Oh yeah. So another thing is just connect. Well, first before we connect, practice, practice, practice. So the one thing that I learned at Fashion Week, the very first Fashion Week show I did, was how to do a proper ponytail. Because I always thought, you know, any hairstylist knows how to do a ponytail. Ponytails are so easy. Like a 5-year-old could do a ponytail. Like, why can't? What do you mean I can't do a ponytail? What are you talking about? So I went to this show and realized that I didn't have a strong ponytail, and I was like, "What is going on here?" So one of the other stylists, she taught me a ponytail trick, and that trick has carried me through my entire career. And I always teach that trick to like my styling team in Philly. I always teach that trick when I'm traveling. If I meet a stylist that doesn't know the trick, I'm like, let me come here, let me school you. I got something for you. It's worth $1 million, girl. So, but you need to like really practice, practice, practice. Styling is important, like just knowing how to style hair. And another thing is really important at Fashion Week is speed, because sometimes you have like 2 seconds to do stuff. Like you just speed. Like you have like, especially when models arrive late. Sometimes, you know, whatever for whatever reason they arrive late, so you need to be able to make this happen in like 2 minutes. Hair and makeup, like they got 5 minutes to get hair, and it's like 15 people all over this model, and you have to be very accustomed to working under a lot of pressure. If you're super sensitive, backstage at Fashion Week is not for you because you may get cursed out. You all kinds of stuff may happen. You just have to be able to just go with the flow. You know what I mean? It's so much fun, but at the same time you are working. And it's not like working in a salon, which is very leisure. It's okay, we have to have this done in this amount of time. And sometimes it's a very intricate hairstyle. And you still only have 3 hours for prep or 2 hours for prep. You know, they're not going to give you extended prep because the hairstyle is intricate. They'll just add more stylists to the team. And you know, find out who the leads are and the shows you want to work with and what shows they do and connect with them on social media, or find out what their email is and hit the contact button in their social media and shoot them a message, send them your portfolio or send them to your Instagram or your website.
Mm-hmm.
You should have a website. If you're a professional stylist, you definitely should have a website. I do kind of think most people work off of people's Instagrams now, but I still think if you are considering yourself a professional hairstylist or
Mm-hmm.
artist, period, you should have a .com. And they look to that.
Right.
So,
Right.
what else? Yeah, pretty much connect with people. Follow fashion, like so you know what
Mhm.
to expect. I think that's very important. A lot of people walk into it, they don't haven't followed fashion, so they're
Wow.
like totally out of their element. So you really need to follow what you want to do. So if it's
Mhm.
like you want to do the couture shows, you need to follow like well, this was when like Lincoln Center was still like open doing fashion week during the Mercedes-Benz days. But which shows are shown at Lincoln Center? You should know those things. So
Mhm.
you kind of want to do your homework and then reach out to the leads in those shows and see how you can get. And don't take no for an answer. Because sometimes they'll just be like, no, or they'll ignore you and just keep
Right.
asking. Just keep asking. And that's another thing we do. We stop asking. People will
Mhm.
ask somebody one time. I noticed this about a lot of people, a lot of my friends. And I'm like, well, did you reach out to her? And they'll be like, yeah, I reached out to her last month, but she didn't respond.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, well, reach out again.
Right.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I miss DMs,
Right.
especially when
Right.
they're in the not the main, the primary and the general. Like
Right.
you know how
Okay.
you have primary and general. I
I
miss
didn't even
DMs
know
all the
that for a
time.
little while. I was like, oh, it's all these
Yeah.
people over here.
Why? I'm like one day I was like, oh my god. So you may miss, or sometimes I get so many DMs that I just missed it. Like
Right.
it happens. I've missed emails. Like, oh my God, how I
Right.
missed the email. Sometimes you need to just reach back out and we have to stop being so prideful and say,
Mhm.
oh no, I'm just not doing it again. And I think that's what gets in our way. We get in our own way because we start thinking what the other person is thinking and the other person is probably not even thinking about you at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't even know you. So
Truth be
like they're not
told.
right. Now when people DM me aggressively, I actually like that because I see I'm like that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I like when people keep coming at me because it you're on my radar. Like I want to make sure you see me is what
Yeah.
they're saying. And I'm like, good, because I didn't see you, but now I do. And I think
Right.
that's
Right.
what people are so fearful of. We don't want to be seen. Why not? You're
Yeah.
amazing. You're amazing. Why wouldn't you want to be seen? I
Yeah.
know some girls and men can do some hair. I
Mhm.
mean, phenomenal, blown away, and they don't even realize how amazing. I'm like, you did that? That is crazy. Like on another level. And I'm like, and you were hiding over in the corner? Girl, come here.
Mhm.
No, don't you dare hide. Sit up straight. You
Right.
are phenomenal, and everybody needs to know your fabulousness. Fabulousness.
Right. Right.
Seriously, but yeah, but backstage, and also if you are a black hairstylist, be prepared to maybe be the only black artist on the team or one of two or three. Um, we are just not, we don't see ourselves backstage in Fashion Week often. And
Mhm.
when we do, it's kind of like you make connections with another artist, like, hey, black girl, it's me. How are you? Like, because you really don't see us. Or, hey, black boy, it's me.
Yeah.
You see me, I see you.
Right.
And then the black models always walk in and they're like, you can see them just like scanning the room, see who's, I want her to, and they have come to me so many times, like, I want you to do my hair. I'm like, oh God. And I know why. Because I witnessed backstage where we had a black model who had like afro textured hair, beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous hair, and white stylists who were not familiar with working with that texture attacked her hair. And I was like, they're going to kill her hair. And then one of the leads said to me, do you mind helping out? And I'm like, so me and another artist who was black who worked with that texture, we just finished her hair. But that should not be happening. Like
Right.
every stylist on the planet, we just all need to know the vast textures of hair that are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a black hair, white hair thing. It's a texture thing.
Right.
Because you, like I said again, when I was 19 years old, I didn't know that a lot of Jewish people actually had Afro textured hair. I worked
Right.
in a salon where those women got relaxers. Those women's hair looked just like mine. They got
Mm-hmm.
relaxers and they're not black. So
Right.
this whole black hair, white hair, to me, it doesn't even make sense. Because I'm like, well, it's texture.
Right.
Because I had my mom's sister. My mom has really curly hair. My mom's sister's hair is super straight.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
White girl hair, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Good hair, as black folks used to say back in the day. She got that good hair. My mom told me the other day, my mom is 72 years old, and we had a conversation about hair. And my aunt, who is her sister, who's 74, who has naturally straighter hair, my aunt says to me, is there anything you could put in my hair to make it look like your mother's? And I'm like, no. But it's so interesting how my mom told me. Now my mom is 72. My mom told me this just like Saturday. She
Mm-hmm.
said to me, I used to be so jealous of her sister's hair
Mm-hmm.
when they
Mm-hmm.
were growing up because they grew up in the 50s
Mm-hmm.
when if you had textured hair, you were like, oh my god. And my aunt was looked at, light skin, pretty hair, and my mom was light skin, afro, looking like Angela Davis. You know what I mean? Like, and that was just not acceptable back in
Right.
the 60s. So I just find it interesting how my mom loved, she grew into loving her hair because she wears it naturally curly. And
Mm-hmm.
my mom gets so many compliments, and my aunt is always like, I want my hair to be like your mom's. Because my mom just does wash and go and
Okay.
keeps it moving. Like, I do her cut and her color, and then she just does a wash and go. Where my aunt is like, still getting it like blown out and curled. And she just wants to be able to wake up and go like that. And so
Right.
it's just funny how the tables have turned now.
Yeah. Yeah. The
And
tables
my
are
aunt,
full. And I
yeah,
found through my career that nobody really loves their hair, that they want
no,
what whoever is like, can I have that? It's like, if my hair's curly,
exactly.
it's like, if mine be straight, it's like, if mine's straight, can it be
Exactly.
straight?
Exactly. So anyway, getting back to I had a sidebar with that, but anyway, getting back to Fashion Week. So I've seen models, of course, look for the black artists when they're
Mhm.
black models because again, they're not too many. And I've had conversations with black models where they're like, I'm so happy you're here, or why aren't there more black artists, hairstylists and makeup artists that work backstage? And then I'm like, well, why aren't there more black models? Like, this is a conversation. And, where what happens is you get these black models and then the artists can't work on their hair
Mhm.
and their hair winds up being a mess. I remember one show I did some years back where the lead, the actual hairstyle wound up being a braid look.
Mhm.
Because, the lead has a test with the designer. And
Oh,
when the lead did the test, a hair test, hair and makeup test. So when the lead did the test, the designer probably was like, "This is the look I want. I want braids."
mhm.
But all leads can't braid either. A lot of people don't know that. Sometimes leads can't braid. There are
Mhm.
things that leads maybe not be able to do, so they rely on their team to do it. Um, so somebody on the team asked me to recommend some hair artists that braided. So I bought like four of my friends that did braids, and it was
Mhm.
so interesting because it was just like the assistant lead she braided. She was white. She was out of like 25 hairstylists. One white person knew how to braid,
Mhm.
and
Wow.
then me, the other assistant lead, and then four of the stylists that I brought with me. It was like six of us, I think, did the entire show,
Wow.
the hairstyle.
Mhm.
And I was like, you got
Crazy.
to be kidding me.
Mhm.
Like these things have to change. And then I had to ask myself, did you guys ask me to bring? Because I was like the only black stylist.
Mhm.
Did you ask me to bring other black stylists who I don't even want to say black stylists, braiders,
Mhm.
um, because you knew that they couldn't braid? Would you have asked them to come if it wasn't a braid hairstyle? That's my question. I don't
Right.
even have a problem with you asking me to come because I knew how to do the look. But would you have asked my friends to come who were black, all four of them, if this hairstyle was a different look? Would
Mhm.
you have invited black artists?
Right.
And I honestly don't think they would have. And that's
Mm.
me being honest. I do not think they would have. They will call on the black artists in a minute when they have a hairstyle that's more uh, black. A
Yeah.
black, so, but yeah. So I've experienced some really, some strange things, like why are you here? I remember one time I was leading a show years ago, and um it was so funny that this woman, she was like walking around. The lead makeup artist was actually, this was, do you guys remember Kato Momola from Project Runway? I
Oh,
don't know. If you're a Project Runway fan, you remember her. Well, anyway,
okay.
I led her show some years back. This happened twice. Her
Mm.
show just popped in my head. But and she's a black designer, but they had press backstage, and they were walking around. They always want to talk to the leads, hair
Mhm.
and makeup, and the lead makeup was white. She was
Mhm.
mad cool, but they found her, and I remember when they walked into the hair area, they just kept walking around, and they walked over to one of the girls on my team was white. It was maybe three white artists on my team. They
Mhm.
walked over to the white artist. I see everything. They walked over to the white artist to interview her because they thought she was the lead of the show, and I was like, what?
Wow. Wow.
Hi, actually, I'm the lead. I'm Kia Sterling. How are you? So yeah,
Wow.
you did stuff like that, and I was so annoyed that night. I'll never forget that. I was so annoyed that they just
Right.
overlooked me.
Right. Right.
I blend right in with the rest of my team. What I had about three white art. Most of the artists were black, but it was like three, and they chose one young lady who was a fabulous artist. Just
Right.
kind of moved me out the way and said, "Oh hi," and put the mic right up to her mouth, and I was like, and she was sitting there looking like that's the lead right there.
Right.
Like she kind of looked like, why are you interviewing me? And I was like, because you're privileged and you're
Yeah.
white. Wake
Yeah.
up, girl.
Yeah. That's the thing I hate. It's like we're getting low on our time, so it's like I know we want to spend something here, but I want to get to one other thing before we close out. But yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I think that like little black girls and boys and what have you should have every opportunity to do whatever it is that they want to do and to not be marginalized, you could say, because they happen to be black. That we
Definitely.
are artists,
Mm-hmm.
that we are leaders, we are what have you, but the perception is if we're there that we're there to do black hair,
Yep.
or like
Mm-hmm.
you say, someone else must be the lead because it couldn't be.
Couldn't have been. There's no way possible it could have been a black girl. No way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was offended. I was like so offended.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
rightfully so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you obviously from our time here put in the work, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To earn the places that you have been and
Yeah.
are, and to have that like almost like, oh, doesn't matter
Yeah.
what who
It
you
was.
are, whatever, just because you happen to be a black artist or a black
It was
woman.
like wow. Like I will never forget that moment. I was just like, that's really deep. And
Yeah.
then the white interviewer turned to me and she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know." I'm like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, whatever. You didn't see what you should have done is walk by and maybe ask the designer who the lead was, or I don't know, but maybe say, hey, who's the lead?' Or walked up to the white girl and say, who's the lead? Not assume she. I saw the whole thing in front of me. Like I was
Right.
like
Right.
3 feet from it. I was like, and I
Yeah.
knew, and like some of the stylists on my team, I was actually friends with, and they looked at me like, that's crazy, like
Hmm.
crazy.
And
Yeah,
hurtful.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
very hurtful because we can work just as hard, but we can't work. No, we can't work just as hard as they do. We have to work 10 times harder
Right.
and still get treated with the side eye. Like, come
Right.
on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, oh, you're amazing. You're an amazing black hairstylist. No,
Right.
I'm an
Right.
amazing stylist. Period.
Exactly.
What is this black white thing? Like, let's not do that anymore. This is like ridiculous. And I
Yeah.
know where it comes from, you know, but we need to try to do things to change it because it's just a lot. It's exhausting. It's
Yeah.
exhausting.
That.
It's
How
exhausting. And now, and it's so funny now, like when I shoot, I still would love, I just want my portfolio to be more diverse. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely trying to work with more black models because I need my portfolio to look like more like me. You know, I just need it to be
Right.
a little bit more diverse. You know, still love my white models, but just needed to be a little bit more diverse than it has been.
Yeah. So talk to us about Beauty Underground because I really want everybody to know what it is and how you got to be part of it. So tell us about that.
So yeah, Charlie Price is the founder of Beauty Underground. He's one of my mentors. He's amazing. If you're watching, Charlie, hey. Um, so the way I met Charlie, okay, go all the way back. Let's go back to I think it was 2006 when he was on Sheer Genius,
Mm.
and I thought he was just so sassy, just my type of man. I was like, I love him, and but he was an amazing hairstylist, and I followed him on Facebook and Instagram, and I was following his career back then. But long story short, because we're running out of time, I reached out to him on. I would always comment on his pictures, like on his work. I would always leave comments. And when you have like a large following and you get a lot of comments, sometimes you miss some. So I would
Hmm.
just comment, you know, making comments. I never DM'd him. I would just make comments. And one day I made a comment. I can't remember the picture or what I said, but whatever I said caused him to go on my page and start to look at my work.
Okay.
That's when my page was full of work.
Okay.
And he DM'd me and was like, he asked me what my website was or something. And I sent him my website. And he came back. He was like, oh my God, your work is phenomenal. This is amazing. We need to connect. And I'm
Hmm.
like, wait, what? I was am I really talking to the Charlie Price? Like, this is crazy. So,
Okay.
you know, we connected. I was so excited. Like, I was just so hyped at the time. And then we started. He brought me into what was it? It was Naha. It was because the Beauty Underground did a Naha segment.
Oh, okay.
Like because sometimes different teams do segments at these big shows, and we
Hmm.
did a segment, and I was invited to come and do the segment with them.
Okay.
This was like 3 years ago, I think. So I did the segment, loved it, had an amazing time. And oh my God, it was such an amazing, amazing experience. And then I just started doing New York Fashion Week with them. And then the second meeting I had with him, he was like, he introduced me actually as, you know, he had everybody introduce themselves. It was like 50 hairstylists in the room. Everybody went around and introduced themselves, said where they're from, because they were from all over the world. And so when I got up when it was my turn to say who I was, he introduced me and he said, Kia is the newest member of the Beauty Underground. And I'm like, wait. So one of my friends that's on the team, she's black too. She said it was only me and her. And it's three of us that are black. She said that's just how he does it. Like he doesn't give you a formal letter or email you this nice little email. He's just like, girl, I'm feeling you. You need to be here, and that's the end of that. Like I was
Okay.
like, oh my God, I'm so amazed. Like I can't believe it. So anyway, so that's kind of how I got put on the team. So,
Hmm.
but Charlie is he's just phenomenal in my eyes. Like he has always like I said, he has always wanted more black artists. We talk about it all the time.
Hmm.
Um, because the team is predominantly white. There are three artists that are black, me and another young lady and a guy. But he's always talking about, you know, getting more black artists. He's I've always felt at home.
Hmm.
Never felt uncomfortable, never felt like, oh, she's a black girl, let her, you know, just I always felt welcome. I never felt uncomfortable at all. So but you know, we travel all around the world. We do shows in London and what's the other place? London, Spain, We do the alternative show.
Mm.
The alternative show is cool. It's in London. If any of y'all get a chance to go to that show, go. Like
Yes.
even if you just go just to be a guest,
Yes.
that show is so dope. I had a ball. Like it's so dope. But it's just been a wonderful experience. I've learned so much. We had, Ruth Roche is on the team. We have an amazing, like what we call the masters that are on the team.
Mm.
They are phenomenal. And I love working around different artists because I pick up so many things and I've learned so much just hanging out with them. And it's so funny. They always say, oh my God, I learned so much from you. I learned so much from you. And I'm like, because I guess sometimes you don't think people are really paying attention I guess you bring value, but sometimes it's just something that you do all the time. I remember one
Right.
show, Charlie said to me, we were in New York, and we had a black model, and I pressed her hair out. She had like an afro, and they wanted it really sleek. And I pressed it, and then I silk wrapped it. And they were watching me, and this is something I do every day in the salon. Like, this is nothing big to me.
Right.
And they were
Right.
like, oh my God. Charlie said, where'd you learn how to do that? And I was like, I don't even remember. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like something we
Right.
do. But they always talk about how they learn so much from me and some of the other black artists, but we learn from them too. And we're
Mhm.
not afraid to like share. Because
Right.
one thing about me, I love to share. I love to share. Like, I'll just give it to you. What you need? Come here. I'll teach you. I'll just show you how to do it. Because somebody did it for me.
Right.
Somebody showed me how to do it. So we have to share. That's so important. That we're not afraid that someone will steal our shine
Right.
because, well, she knows a little bit more than me. So I don't, I want to excel more than she does. So if I teach her this technique, this is going to, we got to
Mhm.
stop that. We got to love on each other, period. Black, white, all of us together. We just need to love on each other and support each other.
Mhm.
I know it sounds so corny because I say it all the time. The world would be so, so in such a better place if we just loved on one another. I mean, think about when when you're having a sad day or a bad mood, and someone calls you who makes you feel good. Because I always say it's so important to keep people around you that make you feel good. Like for instance, are you ever around someone that your energy literally shifts when you're around that person? Like it drops, it becomes your energy. You feel like, oh my God, it's because the person is so negative and
Right.
it just sucks you in. But we don't realize it. See, I notice things like that. I notice how my energy goes up and
Right.
down when I'm around certain people. The people where it drops, I try to stay away. The people where it
Right.
stays up, and I'm always trying to up everybody's energy because I want everybody to be happy and feel good. Now, I know it sounds corny. We all have bad days. It's just part of life. We're gonna have a
Right.
bad day. But I try to think very positive. I meditate every morning. I'm
Mhm.
big on, I don't watch TV. I listen to music. I meditate. I read books. I do watch like documentaries and stuff like that. But I can't, the ear gates and the eye gates are really important, what you take in. And some
Mhm.
stuff I'm just like, I can't take that in because that's just going to
Right.
change my whole mental. And it's easy to get sucked into negative energy, but it's just as
Absolutely.
easy to get sucked into positive energy.
Right. But you sometimes have
So
to be intentional with that positive energy to make sure, like,
very,
keeping the right
very,
people around you.
because you can get sucked in. Either way, you can get sucked in. You really
Mhm.
can. Like
Right.
I feel it when I'm having one of those days. I literally feel it. I'm like, oh my God. Whew. I feel it when it's happening. I'm like, oh my God, I feel it. Where sometimes I don't think sometimes I don't think we are as aware of ourselves as we need to be.
Yeah.
That's so important. We're so focused on being artists, being amazing, and cutting color hair and color and cutting, styling and wigs. But what are we as people?
Exactly.
Are we aware? Are we aware? Are we being a loving friend? Are we being a loving family member? Are we just being supportive? Just, hey, honey, I'll take the trash out. You got the dishes. Like,
Mhm.
we have
Right.
each other's back. Like, period. My mom is big on that, and that's where I get that from. Like, if you're my friend, I have your back. Period.
Right.
What do you need? You can't do this, well, I have you. And that's how we just need to work in environments like that. And
Yes.
just be very supportive. It just makes I want people around me to feel good. Because it
Mhm.
makes me feel good. Even when I'm having a bad day, if I do something to make someone else feel good, then
Right.
it starts to make me feel better.
Mhm.
That's how that works. It's just shifting that energy. Because and then you can also get sucked into it and just lived there. You know, we all had that experience, but how did that work?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work out real well, you know?
Right.
So that doesn't
Right.
work for me.
Yeah, I love you talking about that because I think it's so important for us to be conscious of, our energy and the people around us. And so I think that's a great place for us to press pause and just say, this has been so fabulous. I
Oh,
really appreciate you being here, and everything that you shared is just like so impactful. It's like I said, I was taking notes as you were going. So I hope everybody else has gotten a lot out of it. And then definitely, you guys can put in the comment section, what stood out to you about what Kia shared, because it's like so many amazing
it went by
nuggets.
so fast. I don't remember even what I talked about.
I know, right? Yeah, we looked up and it's like, whoa. But yeah, it's like this has been amazing. And
Yes, it has been. Thank you so much.
you're very welcome. And thank you for sharing so generously and just, so openly as far as, your experiences and what it was like getting started and even your influences. I can, we're kindred spirits. Some of the things that you mentioned as childhood,
Oh yeah,
very similar to, to mine. So
so cool.
yeah. Yeah. So I want to thank you for being here, and
Thank you so much.
I want to thank everybody who is here now, watching us live, and also anybody watching the replay. And again, invite you guys to, subscribe to the channel for YouTube, because you don't want to miss any of the folks that are coming up. And
I'm sure you got some good people because you've had some really, really good people before me.
yeah, I'm super excited. So next month is gonna be, which starts next Tuesday. And I want to post up. I'm not so good at this part yet, but let's see if I can. There was a lovely comment here that I wanted to see if I can, yeah, show that. Okay. So Rockstar Cut says, wow, that was amazing. Great advice. Thanks. And
Oh, you're welcome.
Barbara Hall Bryant is sending you
Miss
love.
Barbara.
And it's like we've got some lovely comments from Facebook, but some of them I don't have names. So thank you, everybody who
Oh,
posted
thank
from
you
Facebook.
all.
There's a way you can put your name in there, and then we can actually show who you are. So thank you
Okay.
for all of the folks. These are probably some of our folks from the Facebook group. So we'll have to come and hang out with you guys in the Facebook group. Kia has some other stuff she wants to share just about our health and taking care of us.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Doing what we're
Thank you
doing.
guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
Yes. And then it's like Thomas St. Jacques.
Thomas.
It's
I
like,
love me some Thomas.
yes, absolutely. So
He's
and
awesome.
we're so glad that you guys were able to join us, and thank you for your comments. And again, feel free to share
Yes.
what stood out for you about the amazing things. Oh, it might be, I'm not sure if that's my sister, but it says, yes, her childhood is just like you.
That probably was your sister. She
Okay.
knows you, right?
Yep. But yeah, it's like coming up, we've got Barber Month for September, and it's like I've got an amazing
That's gonna be
lineup.
cool.
So we start out with John Mosley, who many of you may know as the Popular Nobody. So the Popular Nobody is going to be here sharing barber wisdom. And then we go on to Eric Cheek, and Eric is just, barber extraordinaire, barber educator extraordinaire. But one of the things that stands out for me is his love of his family. And so I want to kind of, how do you bridge all of those things? Having a great salon, having an educational career while you're on the road, and still, being that committed person with family.
Yes.
And his artistry is just magnificent. So he's ventured out into doing, like he did the art on the hair or on the head. I guess.
Loved it. Oh, I want to watch that. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah, and he's
so
doing
cool.
other art now as well. So it's like I can't wait to hear about that. And then you guys are like the first to know, because I'm just releasing this now. But we have a very special guest who's coming. Not that all of our guests aren't special, but called the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Yes.
Barry Fletcher is going to be joining us.
Wow. Oh my God. I need to make sure I watch that.
Yeah, it'll be
That's
September
awesome.
15th, I believe.
Yeah, he was all that back in the day. I remember him
Yeah,
when I was young.
yeah,
Yes, he's
yeah.
awesome.
And so he's going to be here to share. I mean, we need like 20, 30 minutes just to do his bio and accolades. So,
He's done it all.
yes,
If y'all
absolutely.
don't know who he is, use Google. Remember? I
Yes,
said
use
Google.
Google, go to his page on Facebook. He just shared like a chronology of a lot of his accomplishments through the years, and you know, I've known
Yeah.
him for most of those years, and just an incredible person, and can't wait to bring him here and just have him share his own experiences. And so that is going to be super special. He's the first of our legends. We're going to have our legends.
Oh, nice. Oh my God, that's gonna be nice. I can't wait. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make sure I tune in. I'm gonna make
Yeah.
sure I tune in.
Let's see. Then Kimberly Coleman is our next guest, and some of you
Okay.
may or may not know her name, but she is a Black artist. She's actually a barber, in addition to being a hairstylist, but she's a barber. And not only is she a barber, but she cuts white hair, and she works on Capitol Hill. And so she
Ooh.
talked to us about what that experience is like.
I'm sure that's interesting.
Yes, yep, absolutely. And she's phenomenal. So I can't wait to have her here and have her share. And then we have Gerard Holloway, who you may or may not know his name, but it's like he's local to this area, and his topic is all on grooming and growing men. It's like he is a barber. He's a barber educator. It's like he teaches in schools, and he's so committed to helping young men have that role model and have the things that they need to do to become amazing men in our community as well as in the industry. So
I love that.
yeah,
That is
yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah. So I'm
That's really
super
good.
excited about all of them, and I think we'll go into October with Legends Month. So we'll have legends each of the days. I haven't got all of those set up, so we're putting it together, and then we're going to talk about retailing and kind of making some additional sources of income, because we need some multiple streams of income. So
Definitely.
yeah. So we've got a lot of exciting stuff lined up for you guys, and I hope you'll
So
continue to
cool.
share the word, invite a friend, tag somebody, and let them know, because anybody that's interested in the beauty industry, we've got something for you. And we definitely want to celebrate our barbers, because the barber industry has gotten so hot, it's crazy.
Yeah,
And
so the barbers are important. We forget about the barbers, but they are so important.
they
And
are.
there's some dope barbers out there. I'm like mesmerized.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with the, the beard game getting so strong, and the man weaves, and we've got all kinds of
I
stuff
know.
with the
Everything.
going on with the barber. So we want to salute them, and can't wait to bring you these
The
guys.
man weaves are so popular now. It's so funny. Like they're not afraid. They're
Right,
not
right.
afraid.
It scares me that they look so natural. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. They're not afraid. It's like
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So this has been amazing. It's like I want to invite anybody that's here to visit Beauty Superstars. I have a free gift for you. If COVID had an effect on your finances, it's like there's a financial survival guide for hairstylists. It's a video, and you can just go to the beautysuperstars.com website and put in your email, and it'll be sent right to you. So I hope that will help, and get us back on track with our finances after COVID. So. Well, we're still during COVID, but it's like we've survived the first hurdle.
First,
So
yeah.
And we didn't even get to talk about that, but we will be in touch, and we have to do something on the Beauty Superstars page. So if you're not already a member, be sure to join. It's on the Facebook, Beauty Superstars group, and you can join us, and we'll have some additional conversations there. So. Again, thank you, Kia. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mickey. You are so amazing. I love how you're just putting this all together and letting our voices be heard, because otherwise we wouldn't have a voice. So you're magical. You're magical.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. It's like we do need to hear your voices. We need your education, your motivation, all of the things that you bring to the table, and your what I like to call it, our flavor. So
yes, I love that.
So everybody have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next Tuesday. Mark your calendar, and go ahead and set a reminder for joining us then. Take great care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.